friends, welcome back to my channel. I have a different type of video that I haven't done before that I thought it would be fun for us to sit down and talk about. So I was looking at my Google spreadsheet homepage, and I was kind of like, oh, I don't really like that I have all these different spreadsheets for all these different challenges. Wouldn't it just be easier and smarter for me to lump them all together as a 2017 and just have different tabs for the different challenges that I do in 2017? So I spent I don't know, probably an hour or so more time than I really should have spent on this, just going through and condensing it all. And then I kind of sat down and I was like, wow, I have made some really good progress this year so far, and we still have a good chunk of the year left. So I wanted to just talk to you guys about the progress, just looking at the numbers and the monetary value. I'm not someone who's kept track monetarily of the makeup I'm using up, unless it's in a Project 10 pan. I know I personally do like to watch at the end of the year all the makeup I used in 2017 and people who break down the price point, but for me logistically I'm not really interested in doing that personally. I've never really wanted to, but I for some reason like doing it with my seasonal challenges and more of my body care. Maybe because it's a bit easier for me to know the value of stuff, because Bath & Body Works body wash doesn't change in price and I use a lot of that. I'm not sure, but I've never really been interested in the makeup tracking. So we'll go ahead and just talk about what challenges I have done. I have done 5 challenges, currently working on my 6th, and then thanks to your recommendations, I'm gonna be doing the Finish 13 by Halloween, the 9 by New Year's, and the 6 by Christmas. Those all sort of seem far away though, it seems too soon for me to start the New Year's and the Christmas one. I am thinking of doing my own Thanksgiving type one and finishing some things by Thanksgiving, just so I can have something else to work on and roll out maybe nowish or the next few weeks. So that'll be a bunch of projects for me, and in total that will mean that I have done 10 projects over this year, which I feel pretty good about if I do end up doing all of those by the end of the year, which is really exciting. And so when I sat down and looked at them, I noticed that there are some challenges where I absolutely kill it, and there are some challenges where I'm just kind of not doing so great, and it all depends on what I pick. Some of you have asked me in the past, how do you stay so motivated, or how do you constantly get through all these items? And the biggest thing I have to say is, one, I was always doing this. Even before I officially had a name for it or was documenting it on YouTube, I was always somebody who couldn't wait to work through something and then pull something else out of my closet. I'm someone who's very goal oriented, who's very intrinsically motivated in that way, and the idea of making to-do lists and crossing things off is my jam. I literally, the first thing I do when I get to school every morning is I make a daily to-do list, and I love crossing things off. Now, oftentimes at school, I add at least 2 things for everything I cross off every time I sit down and look at it, but it really keeps me focused and on track. And so when I learned about doing this in a formal way, it just spoke to me. So if you're somebody who's like that, I feel naturally you're probably already doing this, you're just not documenting it. If you're not somebody who's like that, I think it's really helpful to actually keep track of stuff, because then it gives you a much better perspective. If you're somebody who has a large hoard, you can sort of see how long it takes you to get through something. I can do really well with shower products. I can whip through shower products really quickly, but in regards to body care post shower, so lotions, hand creams, foot creams, face stuff, that can take me longer to use up, just because I'm not necessarily as liberal, or my skin doesn't absorb as much of it. So it's been really eye-opening for me. The other thing I'd recommend if you're just wanting to start out with this, or you want to stay on track with this stuff, is pick stuff that you like. At least picking, 80% of what's in a challenge is stuff that you like is going to be a lot easier for you to work through. I typically have most stuff that I enjoy in these projects, and it's just because they're a lot easier for me to want to use, and if I like something, I'm going to use it naturally anyways. And then I always have maybe 1 to 3 items that I'm not the biggest fan of, but I don't mind getting myself to use them, because there are so many other things that I like that I'm kind of oh, it's not a big deal to use this. If I was forcing myself to use Finish 5, for example, and all 5 of those products I didn't like, it would be super hard for me to want to stay on track and to keep using them. And you kind of see that in some challenges, my Finish 4 by April Fools. I had 4 products in there, and I literally finished 2, brought in 2 more, finished those 2, but the other 2 original guys that I hadn't finished, which was like this Coach Poppy perfume, I like didn't really want to use it. And it was because at the same time, I was trying to use up sample perfumes, and I picked using those up over using this. So this kind of sat here and sort of wasted away. And I said to myself, all right, I'm not gonna put in another challenge because clearly I don't want to use that. I want to be using other things. And so you haven't seen it in a challenge since then, and I haven't really been using it. It's annoying because I want to use that up, but I also know myself that I'm not gonna necessarily be forced to use a perfume day in and day out if there's something else I'd rather pull in. So that's sort of like where I am at with it in my recommendations. And I also think documenting it, the Love to Be Busy Instagram account, I don't watch her on YouTube. I keep track of her on Instagram, and I really enjoy seeing on Instagram, like her keeping track of that. It's just another way to see people using products up. I'm someone who doesn't really like doing that on Instagram because I don't like typing on my phone long-winded things. I'd rather just personally talk about them. I'm just not great with texting on my iPhone. I know it's like not of my age to say that, but I'm brutal at texting, or at least like writing long blurbs on my iPhone. I just don't have the like fine motor skills, I guess. I don't know. But like doing it on Instagram, doing it on Facebook, like doing it somewhere is also helpful to actually document it. I think Instagram is a really welcoming community. I wouldn't post this stuff on my Facebook page, but to each their own. I just think personally documenting it in some way is also really helpful to keep you motivated and wanting to do it frequently. Okay, so let's sort of talk about like the numbers. So in total, I have managed to use up 44 different items over the challenges that I have finished thus far this year. The biggest one that I had the most success with was the Finish 14 by Valentine's Day, because I had a bunch of like sheet masks and I had a bunch of perfume samples. So like that challenge was well above the 14 items it required. And I haven't done that as much this year, but in years past, I have done twists on challenges. But 44 items is really eye-opening. I did not realize I had gone through that many, and that's just with challenges. There are other things like I've worked on outside of challenges and all of that stuff. So it's more than 44 items, but like just documenting in challenges, 44, which is really great. And that makes me really happy to know. And it just makes me want to keep doing these. I also have kept track of monetary value, and thus far, those 44 items have accumulated to be $391.05. Now, I don't necessarily know what I've paid for every individual item in my closet that I've amassed throughout the years, so I just do the current retail value. Did I spend that much money on those products? No, but it's really cool and eye-opening to know that I have managed to work through that much retail value. That to me is awesome. Like I would love to double that between now and the end of the year. Do I think I will? I have no idea. But it's just really cool to see those numbers. I don't necessarily think of things, like I don't look at those body washes and think like, this is $12.50 of body wash I'm using up. But when I kind of count it up, that's really rewarding and really enjoyable. So all in all, this has been really helpful for me to do this sort of like 2017 seasonal challenge check-in, I guess is what I might call this video. But it just has been really fun for me, and I wanted to share with you guys sort of the progress I've made, how I stay motivated, and how I can sort of keep doing these challenges and not get bored or annoyed with them. But I'd love to hear any tips that you guys have on this, any thoughts you have about any of this, and I'll talk to you in my next video real soon. Bye.